What's going on YouTube? It's the Motivational Gamer here. I'm back in here with another one. This is going to be another video by the channel Be Amazed. This is a reaction video. It says most extreme weather events caught on video. So we're going to check these out and we'll see what we got cooking. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell so you can be notified the next time that I stream or upload. And let's get to it.
We've all seen videos of severe storms, typhoons, and tornadoes.
That we have.
But have you ever witnessed an ice tsunami? What
Whoa,
about blood-red
crazy.
skies in the middle of the day? Or waves so big they engulf a 5-story building?
I didn't know that was
Yeah,
a
it
thing.
turns out there's more to extreme weather than just wind, rain, and hail. With that, settle in and brace yourself, because we're about to take a look at some of the craziest and weirdest weather events ever caught on camera.
Okay.
Cappuccino Sea. If you've ever visited the beach, you've probably seen a rogue patch of sea foam. This freaky froth is a natural phenomenon that occurs when
Looks
high
really nasty.
concentrations of organic matter in the water, like seaweed and algae, is tossed around in the wind and the waves. This traps air into it, producing
Interesting
miniature
way for it to
bubbles
come
that
come
accumulate
about.
in the bizarre brown froth. It isn't usually harmful, but that doesn't mean
That
seeing
looks so
Froggy
nasty.
Beach in Australia turned into one giant cappuccino is any less unnerving.
That's crazy. Why would them people get in there? I don't even think I'd be in there, to be honest. Comment down below and say if you guys would have went in that
It may
water
be
looking
natural,
like that.
but
I don't
that
care
looks
how natural that
weirdly
looks.
unpleasant.
It don't look
Not
right.
as unpleasant as what this guy's about to go through. Suds up.
Ugh. Ooh, it covered his whole face.
That is so good. Where is he?
Is that him?
Just imagine being completely consumed by a load of dirty, frothy, salty foam that has the consistency of whipped cream. Ugh.
That sounds
While the
disgusting, to
majority
be
of the
honest.
sea foam isn't toxic, some countries, like the UK, dump large amounts of untreated sewage straight into their seas and rivers,
No way.
which can create toxic froth on the waves.
Yeah, I passed.
Seeing how it's almost impossible to tell the two types of foam apart, I think I'll stick to the sun loungers, thanks.
I think I agree.
But what would you do? If you dive right in, hit that like button. If you stick to the sun loungers like me, hit that subscribe button. All done? Great. What weird weather phenomenon have we got next? Uplit lightning.
I don't think I've ever seen
We
that
all
before.
know that lightning strikes start in clouds and either streak across the sky from cloud to cloud or hit the ground, right? But if that's the case, how do you explain
Excuse
this?
me. Wow. It's an interesting sight to see. Guys, leave a comment and let me know if you've ever seen this in person, ever, because I've never seen that in person.
No, you're not going insane. The lightning spidered up from the ground. This is a phenomenon called upward lightning, one that scientists don't fully understand. What they do know is that these upward strikes spring from the tops of tall structures and are triggered by other strikes in their vicinity. According to simulations, these other strikes enhance the ambient electric field around the structures, enough to trigger a lightning strike starting from towers as short as 10 stories. Well, the
That's cool.
scientists may not fully understand it, but I know that I'm moving to a ground floor apartment pronto.
That's pretty wild, though, to see on camera.
Freezeway. Lake
Now,
Michigan.
you've seen a lot of this
One
in
of
movies.
North America's 5 Great Lakes. With a mammoth 3,200 miles of shoreline, this
Seen
lake
a
is
lot of
home
that
to
in
around
movies. I've never seen it
100
in
lighthouses.
person.
Now, that might seem like a lot, but the weather here fluctuates
That water
so
looks
much
terrible.
that every last one of them is essential. You see, while the Midwest can receive heat waves that stretch into triple digits, it can also experience Arctic fronts in the winter, with temperatures well below zero and winds exceeding 45 miles per hour. This can drive waves on the lake to crash more than 20 feet over buoys, markers, and lighthouses.
Yeah, I think I
But as
passed on
cold
that.
as that looks, it's nothing compared to what the blistery, freezing fronts, often more than 20 degrees below zero, leave behind. The freezing water that was crashing against these structures is frozen solid on them and on their piers, leaving
Oh,
them
wow.
coated in incredible swaths of ice. Some years, the coating the lighthouses receives isn't much, but on others, it has to be seen to be believed. It
That's
was so
crazy.
thick in 2019, for example, professional climbers were able to film themselves hacking their way up the side of them like they were mountains. They look like castles plucked from another world. Wait, hold up. Isn't this where Elsa from Frozen lives?
That's crazy.
Ah, great. Now I'm gonna have Let It Go stuck in my head for the rest of the week. Tsunami ice. Beachfront properties can boast incredible views all year round,
That's
whether it's in
nice.
summer when the waves are crashing, or in winter when it's all iced over. Except when the winds pick up in the winter, and all of a sudden hundreds of tons of mammoth-sized
Yo.
ice blocks begin crawling out of the water and
That's
inching
insanity,
towards
bro.
your home.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. That's way too much. That's crazy. It's like picking up the dirt and everything. That's crazy. Yeah, nah.
Despite what it looks like, the ice doesn't actually have a mind of its own. This is what's known as an ice shove,
That looks wild.
though it's sometimes referred to as an ice tsunami because of how big the ice can be and how fast it can roll in, like it did on the Kuskokwim River in Alaska back in 2020.
Wow, that thing is moving too. Oof. Yeah, you gotta move that forward. That thing moving. Almost looks like it got a mind of its own.
Get on.
What?
Get on.
I'm on.
Ice
Yeah,
shoves
ready to
occur
go.
when strong winds or currents running underneath force the ice from the water's surface to shatter and pile up on the land. And while it might seem tempting to get close, be careful. In stormy conditions, there's no telling just how fast it might come rolling in, as the guy filming this ice shove on Lake Erie discovered.
Wow. Eesh. He thought he was safe. No, sir.
Oh my God! I can't believe I actually got it.
Whoa, it's coming in quick. That's crazy to see something like that, though. I guess he was safe.
These massive
I thought
walls
the
of
ice was
ice
gonna
can
get
be
'em
so
for real.
powerful, they routinely uproot trees, break down doors, and
Wow.
even demolish entire homes. Whoa, not cool.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Wicked waves. If you've been subscribed to this channel for a while, you might remember my video from several years ago
Oh,
that
that's
took a dive
crazy.
into some of the biggest waves ever recorded. If you're afraid of the ocean, like me, just watching surfers and tankers roll around in 70-foot waves is enough to turn your legs to jelly. But giant waves don't just occur in the middle of the ocean. Back in 2015, Typhoon Chan-hom terrorized the coast of East China with its 140-mile-per-hour winds whipping up waves at the coastal city of Wenling to a horrifying 5 stories high.
Wow.
These waves surged inland, flooding the coast and forced more
That's
than
terrible. Even if you
1.1
was in a
million
high-rise
people
building.
to
you-
evacuate their homes. But this wasn't the
Oof.
last time scary storm waves of
Nature's
this
deadly.
magnitude tried to take on buildings along the coast. Back in 2020, the Mediterranean storm Gloria arrived on the shores of Mallorca with winds of 71 miles per hour.
Mm.
While not as severe as Typhoon Chan-hom, they were still able to whip up waves more than 27 feet tall.
Hey guys, Let me know if you've ever been through any type of natural disasters in the comments, man. Floods, hurricanes, tornadoes. Leave it in the comments. Let me know how you survived and how you got out of that thing. Man. Ooh. That's crazy. She's like behind that building and it came all the way
I
up.
do
That's
appreciate
crazy.
the relentless
Well,
optimism
no, she
of
was
these
on the
guys,
roof of a
but
building.
if a
it looked
giant
like.
wave literally washed over a 3-story building in front of me, I'd be running away from it, not towards it.
Yeah, kind of foolish.
Dust storm.
I heard of these. I don't think I've
Usually
ever
when you
seen
see
one.
dark clouds rolling overhead, you need to grab your umbrella. But what do you do if you look up at the sky and see a gigantic wall of orange clouds?
Yeah, that's some old
like
movie
this?
stuff there. That's some old, the mummy type stuff going on with that.
I don't think an umbrella is going to cut it here. Here being Diego de Almagro in Chile back in March 2022. This isn't any normal storm.
What
It's
you
a
got? Go
dust
inside
storm.
and tell us now?
Sometimes called a sandminous phenomena, arise when strong wind fronts blow loose sand or dirt from a dry surface, like a stretch of land or desert after a
Imagine
drought.
being caught in some nonsense
This
like that.
accumulates in dense wall-like clouds that
That's
can measure
crazy.
up to 37 miles high. And while an approaching storm looks terrifying, being inside one is something else.
I can only imagine. That's too much. I'm not gonna do it at all. Ooh. Excuse me. That is wild. It's like they're looking
Light
through
filters
glasses
through the
almost
dust
like.
and sand, submerging everything in a haze, which interestingly changes in color depending on the type of dust you're squinting through. Chile's dust storm produced a dystopian orange haze, for example. But in southern Iraq, the iron-rich sand and clay of the landscape gives sandstorms like this one from
Yeah, I think
2010
it would look like that
an
outside. I'm
unreal
not even
red
going
hue.
outside.
Not bad.
Here this dude go.
Barely see across the way.
It's
which
filming
is
outside
probably
like it's a regular
less than
day.
100 feet. Visibility this way. Jeez, I don't know.
Too
50.
much. It's too much.
That way, same thing. Can't even tell what's down there.
With dust
Like-
this red, it's
like,
hard
why
to tell
does-
whether this footage
Why
was
is
shot
he
on
outside?
Earth or on Mars.
Like what is it? I don't understand. Like why is he outside like that? Like as if it ain't red outside. Like that's crazy.
Rail rain. There are a few places you might expect to see a waterfall, like in a rainforest or at a water park. You know where you definitely don't expect to see one though? Getting off the subway in New York City. And yet, this is exactly what happened back in September 2021.
Yeah, I think that day I had to stay on the train. I ain't gonna do it. Y'all had to catch me at the next stop. Or is that the whole subway that was like that? That might have been the whole subway now I think of it. Unless it was just the pipe that busted. But that looked like it's coming from the roof. That looked terrible. That's too much. Yeah, that's crazy. Imagine how much water that let in the subway state. I mean, in
There's
the
so much water here, I'm not even sure
train.
if this is the NYC subway or one of the rides at Universal Studios. All jokes aside, this
look
catastrophic
crazy, though.
cascade was the result of Hurricane Ida, which dumped 3 inches of rain on New York in just over an hour. Now, this was a big problem
It
because
is
New
wild,
York's
though.
sewage system is only designed to handle 1.75 inches of rain an hour at best. This caused flash flooding throughout the
That's
city.
crazy.
But
My
with
boy
that
was
in mind,
prepared.
I'm not sure what I'm more impressed with. The fact that the trains were still running, or that people were willing to leap out of the train and into the waterfall.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, I guess.
Wave goodbye. Now, it's not just NYC's subway that gets battered by unexpected torrents of water. Over in the UK, Devon's Dawlish line, which is built right along its southern coast, is usually a peaceful train ride that allows passengers to admire the serene seas off the Devonshire coast. That is, until the winter storms arrive. Back in 2014, for example, 70-mile-per-hour storm winds whipped up some 30-foot waves and
That's
battered the
crazy.
trains
Imagine
that
being
were
on the train
still
and seeing
running
that.
along the line.
That looked crazy. I don't know if you can open your window on the train, but imagine having your window open and that happened. Ooh. That's crazy. They wild for that.
These were some particularly powerful waves, one that ended up almost completely destroying a short stretch of shoreline railway.
That's
More than
crazy.
35 million pounds was needed to repair the line, along with
Oh,
a further
wow.
80 million pounds to repair the seawall protecting it. But
That's
that
crazy.
still wasn't enough. In 2020, a huge storm wave struck one of the trains with so much force, it smashed the windows and injured several passengers on board. Today, storms still continue to threaten the line, like
They got
Storm
bulletproof
Bar
glass now?
did back in 2021, raising massive waves that the new and improved seawall simply couldn't stop.
Mm. Ooh. Nature is just a force to be reckoned with. Jeez. That's crazy.
Yikes. Looks like those improvement plans might have been derailed. Stunning supercells.
Oh.
Now, there are showers, there are storms, and then there are supercells.
Supercell, I've
Wide
never heard of that.
anvil-shaped systems of clouds that thrive on two tilted air streams, one of upward-moving warm air and another of downward-moving cold air. The humid air rises, condenses, and then falls back down as cool air, forming these supermassive turbulent storm clouds that can reach 20 miles in diameter and are up to 75,000 feet
Sorry,
tall.
guys.
But
Fix
as
this.
imposing as they look, they become even more menacing when the particles in their clouds collide, building up a static charge,
That looked like
forming
some-
an endless supply of
Some
lightning.
old otherworldly portal. That's what that looked like. I seen this on the Avengers. They playing. Not today.
Not sure whether I should be afraid or in awe. Probably both,
That
right?
looks crazy.
Well, when the rotating updraft feeding
Like an
this
evil
formation
cinnamon
really
bun.
gets up to speed, forming what scientists call a mesocyclone, that's when they can start spawning something a little more terrifying at the ground level. Tearing tornadoes.
Mm.
Tornadoes are pretty terrifying at the best of times. These narrow, violently
looked
rotating
crazy.
columns of air generally occur when warm, humid air collides with cold, dry air. As
I like
the
how
cold
you
air is
explaining
pushed up,
everything,
the
too.
warm air begins to rotate, producing an updraft which eventually rotates sharply if winds in the area vary in direction or speed. This produces a huge column of warm, moist, rotating air that is then fed by the cold air coming down from the mesocyclone above. Depending on its size and strength, this funnel system can whip around at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour,
That's
ripping
crazy.
up anything and everything in their path. Imagine the horror, then, that Mary Fan felt back in 2021 as she was driving along when, all of a sudden, a fast-moving tornado tore across Interstate 10 in Texas, less than 100 feet from her car.
Yo, that looked crazy. That thing is moving too. That's not like regular speed. It's tearing stuff up. Dude,
Well,
the
was there
semi is
some
like, I'm still
lightning
trying to
in those
get
as
there.
Well, thankfully, no. It
That
was
dude in
just
the
the force
semi
of
is
the
like,
wind
look, I gotta
snapping
drop
the
this
power
load
lines,
off. That's
causing a couple
crazy.
of flaring blue electrical surges. Whew. Tornadoes are already terrifying enough on their own. Thank you very much. Water spout scramble. Now, tornadoes...
Guys, leave a comment and let me know if you guys have ever dealt with this stuff. I personally have never been caught in any type of natural disasters that I could think of, outside of like maybe like snow as a young kid, but yeah, nothing really crazy like insane. I'm talking about more so astronomical flooding or tornadoes or anything like that. Yeah, I don't think I've been caught in anything like that. Nothing serious on that level, I would say. So I've been fortunate. But let me know in the comments if you guys have.
don't just form over land. They can form over water, too. Although when they do, the weather nerds prefer if you call them waterspouts. However, many that form are much weaker than their land counterparts, meaning that while they look like they're sucking up water from the ocean, they're just fast, rotating columns of air ripping through the waves. The average waterspout is 165 feet in diameter, with winds around 50 miles per hour, much less than those previously mentioned 200 mile per hour tornadoes. They almost don't sound that bad. That is, until they reach land. Like this one in the coastal town of Cefalù, Sicily did back in 2020.
Wow, that's crazy. So it just came right up out the water and just started tearing stuff up. Yeah, that's crazy. Can you imagine just hanging out that day and then you see this? That is foolery right there. I ain't signed up for this. I gotta go, bro. That's crazy. I'm just hanging out and then that happens. They don't seem to be as strong as
Chairs,
tornadoes
debris,
so far, it
even
don't
some
look like.
trees were flung into the air.
But it's
A
still
few
not
fish were
tearing through
reportedly
houses,
dragged from
though.
the sea and dumped on land as well. Luckily, this one only lasted a few seconds before the warm stream of air feeding the rotating updraft of the waterspout was disrupted as it reached land, where it eventually collapsed. Huh. Super scary, but surprisingly delicate. A bit like my ex-wife.
Nah, that's still scary.
While seeing one up close, but not too close, is pretty mesmerizing. Imagine seeing 4 or even 5 all at once, like the onlookers in Laguna de Bay
That's some
in
old
the
apocalyptic
Philippines
looking
did back
stuff
in
there.
2020.
That's crazy.
I mean, we know they're terrifying, but at this distance, and with that sunset behind them, in my opinion, they just look majestic. Now, there are actually 2 types of waterspouts, tornadic and fair weather. Tornadic waterspouts are simply tornadoes that form over the water. They typically occur with thunderstorms, forming from an abundance of warm, moist air and an unstable atmosphere. They develop downward and appear initially as funnel clouds, like this one here. Fair weather waterspouts, on the other hand, form during relatively calm weather. They tend to form along the long, flat bases of developing storm clouds, where air begins to circulate along the surface of the water and develop upwards, much like the one that terrorized Sicily. They typically occur during light wind conditions, and because of this, they don't move much. Even so, if you're out on the water and start seeing droplets flurrying around in a spiral, make sure you start paddling in the other direction. Fire-nado.
Yeah, I think
Okay,
I'm
so
past.
now we've witnessed how terrifying regular
Fiery
tornadoes and
tornado?
waterspouts can be.
Yeah, no.
But have you ever heard of a fire twister? Sounds like
That
something
look
made up for a
crazy.
film, doesn't it? Well, firefighters tackling a wildfire in Greece learned that these things are real and horrifyingly powerful back in 2021.
That is crazy. Ooh. Ooh, that can be good. That thing's starting to move. That's crazy.
Whoa,
There's no
that
telling
was
what
close.
direction that thing's
Like
gonna
being a
head in either.
firefighter wasn't a tough enough job already. Just like fair weather waterspouts, fire twisters form from the ground up, but are triggered when the hot and fast rising air is combined with turbulent wind conditions. This draws the smoke and hot air upwards into a funnel, often dragging a whirl of flame up with it. Luckily, most fire whirls are small, ranging from 33 to 164 feet tall. And while they can reach a scorching 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, most die out
164
quickly. Most,
feet tall.
that is. Some, like this one caught on tape on
crazy.
Kangaroo Island, Australia back in 2020, can get so strong that they're able to move away from the base of the fire.
Oof. Ooh. That's gotta be scary to look at.
But this isn't a fire whirl's final form. In the cases of larger wildfires or even volcanic eruptions, the sheer amount of hot air and ash rising into the troposphere can create flammagenitus clouds, also known as pyrocumulonimbus clouds. Depending on the wind, these ash clouds can become storm clouds, hosting mesocyclones and creating their own actual tornadoes, also known as fire tornadoes. This happened back in 2018 when California's Car Fire triggered the creation of pyrocumulonimbus, which
Some
eventually gave
scientific
shape to
terms
this
there.
horrifying EF3 tornado, with winds in excess of 143 miles per hour.
Holy crap. And that thing don't even look like a small one.
At more than 1,000 feet in diameter, this was one of the largest and deadliest fire tornadoes ever recorded on camera. Oh, I do not envy the crew of that helicopter one bit.
That's crazy. How you navigate that as a
Brace for the
person trying to
glacier.
save
Glaciers are
people?
huge accumulations of ice, snow, and sediment, which, thanks to gravity, move slowly down the land they build up on. They're a real sight to behold, which is what makes Alaska's Portage Glacier, at roughly 6 miles long and 10 stories tall, such a popular tourist destination. The only problem is that tourists forget glaciers aren't solid. They can melt, crack, and fracture, often without warning. And that's what happened to Jason Roush Jr. and his family,
That's
who were
crazy.
visiting Portage Glacier back in 2020.
It's a bad idea. Oh. Sorry. Can you imagine being at the top of that when that collapsed? Oh.
Hey, Sue, get off of there. Get off of there. Get off of the ice. Get off of the ice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah, not moving fast enough. They still just hanging out. What are we doing?
Are you okay, Sue? Oh. Oh my God. Whoa.
That's crazy.
A block roughly the size of a house, weighing tens of thousands of pounds, crashed into the frozen lake below it. But only the surface of the lake was frozen, so the crash sent a small, albeit heart-stopping, under-ice tidal wave towards Jason and his family. If it had been any bigger, they could have been in real trouble. Thank God Jason was able to keep his cool.
Yeah, wife wasn't moving
changing
fast enough for
directions.
me.
Your old geography teacher probably taught you that rivers run in one direction, the way gravity leads them, right? Well, that's not strictly true. Some rivers around the world experience an all-natural phenomenon called a tidal bore, which is where the leading end of a tide from the sea is strong enough to push against the river, temporarily reversing its direction. This occurs in places where the mouth of a river or estuary is wide and flat, and the difference between low tide and high tide is quite large, usually about 20 feet in difference. When those conditions are met, a tidal bore can form, like it often does in Moncton, New Brunswick.
Imagine not knowing nothing about that and experiencing that for the first time while you're out there. That's crazy.
While Moncton's bore is steady enough to surf on, others can be so big and violent, like those of the Qiantang River in China, that simply standing too near them poses danger.
Ooh. Yeah, that's not okay. It's a heck of a crash.
The surging sight of this 30-foot tidal wave has become so famous that it's earned the name Silver Dragon, and thousands of spectators gather along the banks to see it every year.
What do they spectate? It doesn't look like that wave was crashing into anything. Before it was crashing into that gate, it looked like.
But thrill seekers still get up close to the tide breakers and bends in the hopes of seeing
no
the
way
tide,
I'm getting washed
which
out.
can travel at speeds of up to 25 miles per hour, making huge splashes against the barriers.
Oh yeah, they playing. Couldn't have been me. Yeah, look at that lady in the blue. She out there looking crazy. She didn't even know what to do when that water hit her. Her
But
entire body got
how
sucked
do
up in there.
spectators know when to gather in the thousands for the largest tidal bores? Well, that comes down to lunar tides. When the moon is closer to the Earth, the huge gravitational pull of it draws the tidewaters in that location up. With the moon providing this constantly, the incoming tide is always at its highest along the Qiantang around mid-August every year. However,
Interesting.
weather events can also impact just how big these waves become. In 2013, the winds of Typhoon Trami boosted the bore, meaning the high tide was more than twice its usual height. The wave traveling up the river broke through the flood barriers and surged up the banks, sweeping away spectators and pushing them along walkways.
See, that's what I'm
Yikes.
talking about.
I think I'll stick to watching videos of this rather than risk watching
Yeah,
it
I'm
in
not gonna
person.
do it.
Which of these
All
weather
right. Well, there you have it, people. That was a pretty cool video by Be Amazed. Shout out to their whole team, or the guy who does the narration. He's pretty good at breaking that things down and making sure people understand things. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow, hit the notification bell so you be notified the next time that I stream or upload. I plan to do more reaction videos. I'll choose different types, different creators, and all that stuff. But of course, you know, you gotta give the creators their flowers and all that good stuff. But I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.